Hello online pipe community, Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today we've got some advice for you. But first, in a Pipe by Lee 3-star saddle Dublin-ish shape, got another bowl of that Gawith Hogarth Jamaican / rum flake. Good stuff, and we'll talk about it next week. Sam at Doing It Wrong is having a thank you gallibration. Very generous of you, Mr. Sam. For his VRs. He's asked what I think is a rather interesting question. I don't believe I've ever heard anyone ask it for a giveaway or even for just a generic video response before. And that question is, it's a two-parter. How do you determine whether a particular tin is at the right hydration? Is it too moist? Is it too dry? And can you describe how to do so to someone relatively new to pipe smoking? Now, I haven't seen a lot of VRs to this, so I figured I would weigh in with my own highly valued expert opinion. Set that down for a moment. All right. If, when you open your tin and you reach down in to get that clump that you want to stuff into your pipe, and you lift it up and it drips, that's too wet. Really. That's too wet. That needs some dry time. If, on the other hand, you take your backy and lift a little bit like this, and it's powdery, like that, woo! Well, you definitely have backy that is too dry. The problem, my friends, is everything in between those two extremes. You see, just like trying to answer the question, how do you load your pipe with flake tobacco? Well, that has so many different answers. There isn't a right answer. There may be some wrong answers, but there isn't really just any one right answer. The same thing is true with hydration of your particular blend or tin of that blend. You may find that your moisture content varies occasionally 10 to 10. If you are new to the pipe, I would recommend drying things out to where when you do that test, there's a little bit of spring back. You don't want your tobacco to crumble necessarily into dust, but you don't want it to really feel moist either. That's what everybody talks about, is having a little bit of spring. But the truth is, some things smoke pretty well with no dry time, including, for me, I do not give dry time to the Gawith Hogarth flakes, ropes, anything they make. I pack them in my bowl and I light them the way they are. Now, that means I have to deal with a number of relights sometimes before I really get the flame going, and that's what I'm dealing with right now with this flake, because I didn't dry it and I didn't crumble it too fine. And it sometimes takes a while to get some of those flakes going. Now, there are other people who like their tobacco all rubbed out extremely fine and crispy. There's no spring at all, and if you were to rub what was left of it, it would turn into fine dust, and they just pack their bowl the way it is, light it, and go. Well, this is part of the problem of answering this question. Is there a right hydration for any blend. No, there really isn't. Some of your aromatic smokers will tell you, don't dry them out too much, you will lose flavor. I will tell you, just don't smoke them because the flavor isn't that great to begin with. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Other people will tell you, you know, give your aromatics 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the humidity in your area, or hit them in the microwave for 5 to 10 seconds on a paper towel. Drive some of that moisture off. You'll lose a little bit of flavor, but what's left still tastes good and it'll burn better. That may be true, but you may actually be in the camp of one of those folks that prefers to smoke it a little wet and get a little more flavor. That's where I am with most flakes and with a lot of the Gawith stuff. Is I'd rather deal with the relights and let the repeated light and combustion cycle dry it out enough to where I get to taste those oils as they are being driven off. I can taste them and smell them instead of just letting them evaporate into the air. Now, there are some blends that come bone dry. Mark Ryan of Daughters and Ryan was famous for saying he sold tobacco, not water. And his blends did, and what you can still get of Daughters and Ryan still do come very, very dry. If you prefer a little hydration, you may hydrate blends like that come just almost crispy. Me, I just like to pack them tight in the bowl and smoke them the way they come. That's how they were packaged. That's how he kind of intends you to smoke them. Now, do you have to smoke them the way he intends? No, of course not. But for some blends like that are super dry, yeah, you may want to hydrate them, but you may be like me, and at the other end of the Gawith spectrum, you have a brand that comes very dry, and I just smoke it that way too. So there really isn't an answer on, is a blend too dry or too wet? It really depends on you and how you smoke. It also depends to some extent on how new you are to it. If you're comfortable with relights over and over again, you know, like I am, there's no problem. If that's frustrating to you, like it was when I first started smoking some of those blends, I used to rub them out a whole lot more than I do now. And when I rubbed them out, I would give them some airtime so that they would smoke more easily. It was only by doing that, though, and then having somebody say, hey, you're losing a lot of flavor, that I eventually tried not doing so and just smoking them the way they arrive. And that works out pretty well for me. Maybe not for you. So, Mr. Doing It Wrong. Smartassery aside, I don't think there really is a right moisture level, moisture content for a blend. Depends on the blend, it depends on you. Except, of course, for those two extremes that I shared with you. Hope that satisfies your curiosity. My expert opinion is always free. It is always worth exactly what you pay for it. Don't enter me in this giveaway, please. I have far too much crap, and so many of you generous souls keep sending me stuff. Stop it. Well, okay, maybe don't, but we'll trade. I can get rid of some of my stuff too. With that, I'm rambling. Light something you like. It might be something that takes some relights, but do it. Enjoy your afternoon.